Hello, today I've got a theory for you that a lot of Tales of Arcadia fans will absolutely love. And the theory is, so we all know at the end of Rise of Titans, Jim went back in time to save Toby, yes? Well, what if I told you that? No, no he didn't. And the proof I've got for this is wild. So to start off with, at the end of the film, when Jim goes back in time and he wakes up to his alarm clock, you can see it. In the first episode, it says 6 o'clock, but in the movie, it says 8 o'clock. And you might be thinking, "Oh, he just got up later." No, no, it's not possible, because by the time Jim had got downstairs and finished making all of his tea, all of his food, then it was 8 o'clock, and that's when he would have started to go. But no, because if it was 8 o'clock, he'd already be out the door, and I can imagine it does take quite a while to get to his school. I believe, I'm not sure of the exact positions of his house, but Toby saying it's 8:30, we gotta go, we're so late. Toby would have already been telling Jim to hurry up and go at that point of the movie, but he wasn't, which is already strange. And 2 hour difference, that's really strange. But then again, it could just be continuity error, but I don't believe it is. Next piece of evidence I've got to give is one thing that's very important to the books: Jim's training. Now you might be thinking, if you've never read the books, oh, is he what, faster, stronger? No, no, no. He's all of the above. It's weird, because at this point in the film, he's not in his at this point in the books, he's not in his troll form. He's just in a regular old human form. And during the time in the books, I believe this is I think it's the 5th book. But yeah, at this point in the books, it's the one that goes back in time. At this point in the books, he's just been training a new troll hunter, so he'd already be really exhausted. Like, really, really exhausted. And he'd just fought another troll hunter, so yeah, he would be exhausted. Yet, less than pretty much like at the same day, he's able to take on Gunmar and Orlag, like the two strongest Gums ever. But then again, you might be thinking, but the books aren't canon. No, they're not. But then again, Jim could have actually splintered his reality when he went back in time. And the proof I've got for this is in the books. There's the amulet's made way before it should be, because Orlag's still alive by the time the amulet's been made in the books, whereas in the series we know, no, he's not. And this shows that when Jim went back in time, maybe the chaotic, sort of nature of the Acaridian tech, which we know from Three Below, when it teleports Lug all around the place. Yeah. Now, it's not the same tech, I know, it's the same tech, but not, the same tech, not for the same machine. But, magic and alien tech, they don't mix right well. For that, there's one episode in Wizards where Belrock and Skrell are teleported around time. Yeah, that's already weird, showing how the chaotic nature of those two things put together doesn't go well. So I think that when Jim went back in time, it splintered his reality, creating, this is the original one, right? This is the original one. But then when Jim went back in time, he didn't go back in time to back here. No, he went from here to here, creating two completely different realities. So, like I've already said, his training, it's weird how he's able to take on those two. Really weird. But then you start to think, how is he able to do this? Well, the only way that would be possible is if Jim already had another timeline of training at his advantage. You see where I'm going? Now, like I've said, he would have been exhausted from the day prior. So, how would this be possible, you might be wondering? Well, I'll tell you. All of this is possible because of Merlin's magic and the Time Stone. Because, the Time Stone from the Chronosphere, it's, to do with time, and so is Merlin's magic. So if you put 2 and 2 together, you can imagine, when there's too much time, then, something's got to go wrong. So with Merlin's magic from Excalibur already in the new amulet, and then the Time Stone being added, I don't believe that you could just, go from one reality back to the original point. with too much time energy, there'll be something going wrong along the way. Likely a splintering. So if Jim had splintered the realities, then you might be wondering, well, how is another amulet? Well, Jim, Krell says we built the new amulet out of Merlin's own designs, aka the old amulet. So you got to imagine, if Merlin's magic at the time of the books, it wouldn't have been as well defined. So, in order to solve this problem, it would have, during the splintering, I can imagine, they've taken one amulet and moved it back. But then this opens up a whole load of plot holes, which I don't have any answers for yet, like, where did it go in the books? Because surely, in the books, there'd be 2 troll hunters at once, which we all know they can't be. Which, yeah, they can't be. Unless the Starlight armour actually caused a difference. Alright, now you might be thinking, what is the Starlight armour? Well, in the book says that there's a really strong armour set. What happens when two daylight amulets are close together and they start to activate at the same time? It pulls energy from one of them and into the other. And then when you activate that armour, it shines really, really brightly. So then, you might be thinking, well, that doesn't explain it. But yeah, it does. Because it means if you pull energy from one amulet, it means that that amulet is then less powerful, meaning it can be destroyed easier. So, what I believe is, by the time Toby found it in the film, the amulet before the amulet's creation had been destroyed, be it by Gunmar, Bula, or Orlag. No, not Orlag. It couldn't have been Orlag, but you know what I mean. So yeah, that already points to how that gets rid of that amulet. Then another question is, how did Toby go from the Troll Hunter to Jim being the Troll Hunter again? Before I get to this bit, let me say something that I forgot to mention earlier. I am saying that the reality that the books takes place in, the timeline, is the timeline that Jim went to when he went back in time. That's all I'm saying. But anyways, what I believe happened is, as we all know, Jim has to be the Troll Hunter. Because in one of the episodes in Troll Hunters, the first series, the starting point, not the first season, but the first series. There's an episode where Jim gets a chance to go back in time, or it's sort of a vision, and he doesn't become the Troll Hunter, because he don't want to. But Dral, who is best fit to be the Troll Hunter, if you think about it, raised by a Troll Hunter, fought like a Troll Hunter, was the rightful owner of the amulet, essentially. He became it, and what happened? Gunmar got released, and then he died. So what I think is, Toby obviously wanted to show off his amulet to Jim, brought it to him, but then the amulet must have done something that made it go back to Jim. That's the only way it's possible. And yeah, no one else can be the Troll Hunter aside from Jim, because otherwise it results in something else happening completely. Which, yeah, and Guillermo del Toro, I don't know if this is true, but apparently once said he wanted to work on some shorts, like short films, that show the amulet working its way back to Jim, which that alone confirms like half of this theory. So, yeah. Another thing is, during all of his time, troll hunting, and then at the end of the original Troll Hunter series, him going to find a new place for the trolls to live, how is he able to write an entire volume of troll lore? And you might be thinking, what are you on about? No, he didn't. Yes, he did. It is one of the books, which I do actually have, but I'm not going to go yet. It's called A Brief Recapitulation of Troll Lore, Volume 48. Now, on the back it says that this was made by James Lake Jr., Jim. What is that? And then, you might be thinking, oh, he might just did it in his free time. But no, he didn't have any free time. Now you think about this. In the series, he pretty much never reads the book. And that's something we all know. How Blinky's constantly begging him to read the book. Even Claire reads it, but he doesn't. But then you might think, oh, he must have just, written it when he found a new place for the trolls to live. He couldn't have. He spent most of that time in stasis, remember? Because the Green Knight impaled his heart with a shard of not darkness, but evil magic, I'm just going to say. And he was in stasis, otherwise he'd die. So that would make it impossible for Jim to write anything. But then you might also think, well, what if he just did it you know, while they were looking for somewhere to live at. But again, no, not possible, because Jim would have likely have to stay on lookout and stay aware of where the, where the sun is, and check, oh, can we go yet? No, and then you have to, check if they're rationing food correctly. So and his hands would have been too big to write anything down. So there is no way he wrote that in his free time. Meaning he would have to write that during the time of the books. But then again, that would mean he also, during the time of the books, he read, the troll books, and we know this because he's got there's a whole like chapter about Angor, the guy who we didn't really talk to. He just tried to fight, meaning that most likely he had time to research him while in the books. So that would explain how he was able to write an entire volume of troll lore. Yeah. But anyways, all of this evidence points to one thing. When Jim went back in time, he didn't. He split into reality, giving him a chance to, redo everything, fight new villains, have better training, have more time to read, write entire books. It all points to that. All of it. So yeah. What do you guys think about this theory? Because I personally think that it's how Trollhunters actually ends. Just let me know what you guys think. Because honestly, this theory is wild.